Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the PC Boiz Podcast. I am your host, Logan Locke. So, there's a lot we gotta talk about today. So we gotta talk about Sadie Sink being officially casted in Spider-Man 4, kind of my thoughts on who I think she's playing, and what role she'll have, as well as doing some theories into what Daredevil episode 4 is going to have, or how things are going to take place, because I do have some thoughts on that. But of course, before we get started, the link tree will be in the description down below. Please follow our socials, mainly join the Discord and the Twitter. Those are the two major ones that I'm active on, is in the PC Boiz Discord and on X, so please do go follow me on there. There's some other stuff on there as well if you want to follow me on all those other platforms or buy my merch, but that's up to you. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, Sadie Sink being casted in Spider-Man 4. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was very shocked when I heard about this because I didn't even know that she was on the radar of Marvel. There are some YouTubers that I listen to that have said, yeah, Marvel's in talks with her to play somebody, but I was not thinking that Spider-Man would be, even in the ballpark. I assumed it had more X-Men related talks going on rather than anything Spider-Man related. But now that she is casted, I've seen a lot of things flowing or being thrown around online, such as her playing a multiversal version of MJ, which in my personal opinion would be kind of boring. Black Cat, Kitty Pryde, even some people are still saying that she could be playing Jean Grey. Now, me personally, I think she'll either play Black Cat or Gwen Stacy. And the reason I think that is because bringing her in to play Jean Grey when Jean Grey hasn't been established in the MCU yet would be weird. To just throw an X-Men in. Like, I know that they can do it, but why? Why would we just throw an X-Men into a Spider-Man movie? Just let the X-Men get established in their own film. It would be so weird to just throw Sadie Sink and a random X-Men, right? Rather that be Kitty Pryde or Jean Grey into a Spider-Man film and then have to flesh her out in the X-Men movie. That just seems a little weird to me. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I think that Sadie Sink most likely will end up playing, if I had to guess, probably Gwen Stacy, but they'll just give her a wig or dye her hair. That's my personal take on it. I think that when it comes to Black Widow, geez, a Black Cat, if I were to cast anybody in that role, it would be probably Sydney Sweeney. I mean, it makes sense from a guy standpoint anyways, why you would cast, Sydney Sweeney as Black Cat. Now, it's possible that Sadie Sink could be playing Black Cat, but to me, it would just seem kind of out of left field. I mean, she's a great actress, so, there's no doubt that she could do the role, but it would just not be my first choice if I was going about it, because the thing with Black Cat's character is she is, a flirtatious character when it comes to Peter. Like, she's always flirting with Spider-Man and always, like, putting him on, like, the chase, and kind of messing with him. Which, Sadie Sink, I've mainly seen her in the Stranger Things TV series. That's what I mostly know her from. And she plays, like, a very good, at least when she's introduced, like, a kid that has a rough household, so she's kind of a dick. But then ends up becoming, a more developed and layered character as you go through season 4. Especially with, like, the whole happening with her and Vecna and losing her sight and ability to walk and stuff like that. So, there's a lot to it. And, I think she could play a good Black Cat, but I personally would probably put her as Gwen Stacy. She could play a good MJ, a good Mary Jane, but I hope they're not going to do the multiversal route. And a lot of these different rumors are, being spread from, I guess, like, logical thought processes, like, oh, well, there's a contract with Marvel and Sony to put two big or one big Marvel character in each movie of Spider-Man's. Well, one can be Daredevil. I don't know why you would need to throw Jean Grey in there, right? It just, to me, would make no sense since the X-Men haven't been established in the MCU yet. And, you know, for her playing a Mary Jane thing, yeah, it makes sense. She has red hair. The movie is set in between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret War, so it makes sense why people could connect the dots and say, oh, yes, this is probably going to, you know, be a multiverse version of Mary Jane. Because the MJ that we currently have in the MCU, Michelle Jones, Zendaya's character, a lot of people have loved that role, but also criticized that role at the same time. So, I don't know. If they were to make MJ like a multiverse kind of thing, I think it's lazy and stupid, personally. But maybe Marvel wants to try to bring that crowd in of, like, OG MJ lovers. I'm not quite sure. Do we know who she's playing? No. There's no confirmation to what character she's playing, just that she's been casted. But if I had to put money on it, I would say Gwen Stacy or Black Cat. So, that's really all the news we have on Sadie Sink being casted in Spider-Man 4. There's no real, like, definitive, like, this is who she's playing. This is when she's gonna start filming. We just know that she's signed on to the project. Once we get more information, I'll talk to you guys and let you know, and especially if we figure out what character she is officially playing, I'll give my thoughts on that as well when that day comes. But, moving on to the more, I guess, guessing work part of this episode, what do I think is going to happen in Daredevil episode 4? So, we left off on Daredevil episode 3, spoiler alert, with the death of Hector Ayala, who is the White Tiger, and Matt defended him in all of episode 3, and got him vindicated and got him free of being arrested and prosecuted. And part of that strategy was outing his identity as the White Tiger. And he ended up getting shot by someone wearing the Punisher logo. It's obviously not the Punisher. Like, if you haven't seen the Netflix series, you might think, oh, that's the Punisher. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's not. It's the cops that are utilizing the Punisher logo and, like, their little cult that they have, which is based on a controversial comic story arc that had been done. But yeah, so I know it's not Frank, but, you know, there will be people out there that think it is Frank. And, this is probably most likely gonna set Matt on the path of becoming Daredevil again, because seeing that, you know, justice was served in the sense that Hector got out, but then him getting killed immediately after is gonna make Matt feel like, you know, justice wasn't served, and that something bad happened because of him. You know, the Catholic guilt will probably take over. But I see Matt Murdock starting to actually make headway towards Daredevil in episode 4. Now, do I think Matt Murdock will suit up as Daredevil in episode 4? No. I think episode 4 is when we're gonna get that bank heist scene that we see in the trailers, and when Matt ends up putting on one of the guys' red ski mask and beating the guy up in the alley and breaking his leg from the trailers. I think that will happen in this week's episode, and probably the end of the episode will leave off with, you know, Matt Murdock opening up his Daredevil vault of, like, you know, cowls and stuff, and he will probably don the suit, or it'll just be left there, just him opening the, you know, closet, storage, whatever, where his stuff is. That's my guess. I don't think we'll actually get Daredevil suited up till episode 5, and I hope every subsequent episode from there, because my major issue is right now with Daredevil Born Again is there's not much Daredevil, right? And the story drama stuff they've been doing has been getting so much better, and it has been so good through each and every episode. Like, it's getting better as it goes on. But I want my Daredevil fix too, right? I want to see Daredevil beating the crap out of people, doing his thing. And it's one of those things where I'm craving more of that, right? So episode 4, that's kind of my prediction on the Matt Murdock side of things, is Matt's going to be more spearheaded into becoming Daredevil again. That whole bank heist is going to happen. We'll see Kamala Khan's father there. And Matt will end up fighting the guys off, and probably ending the episode off with the reveal of his, you know, suit gallery and stuff like that. Now, that then leads me to believe that Punisher may or may not show up in episode 4. Now, based upon the trailers, it's hard for me to gauge if the Punisher is going to be in episode 4, because the conversation between Matt and Frank makes it seem like, anyways, that Matt has yet to actually do anything. And there's dialogue in the trailer about Matt, about Punisher being like, you feel, really upset that you haven't done anything about it, and that it's going to keep eating and eating away at you, which could be in reference to Foggy's death, or Hector's death, and Matt not immediately jumping into Daredevil. And I think that part could take place in episode 4, but I don't think we'll see the Punisher suited up and Daredevil in his full costume until episode 5, unfortunately. By the way, I don't have any, behind-the-scenes sources to tell me that. I'm just guessing that, just based upon how the trailers are going. But I definitely think the bank heist scene will be happening in episode 4. 100%. So that's kind of where I think I see things. Now, my major issue we're almost halfway through the series. Episode 4 and 5 is like the halfway mark because we have a 9-episode season. So 4 and 5 are both midway, if you will. Muse needs to be shown, okay? Muse was literally hinted in episode 1 at the very end of him painting a mural. And I think he was also in episode 2 when he met with, Matt's new girlfriend at her, book signing that she was doing. There's, that young, awkward guy with the curly hair and stuff. I think that that's Muse out of his, suit and mask. And he definitely, hasn't, there's been nothing major about Muse so far. And if episode 4 happens and we still don't get any Muse development, that means episodes 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 need to have Muse. Imagine you go into episode 5 expecting Muse and you don't get him until episode 6. You are literally having Muse for 3 episodes, if that. And I'm hoping they don't waste Muse, right? Because my major question with this series is, we know that, Matt's building up to being Daredevil again. Fisk is building up to being the Kingpin again. And that direct heading is coming. But Muse is a wild card. Okay? I don't know how they're going to fit Muse in here. Now, in the comic books, Muse doing what he does isn't specifically directed at Mayor Fisk or anything like that. Not directly. But with that being the case, and Muse in the comics being inhuman, I don't know if they're going to add that element or not. But he essentially has this power where he can, disable Matt's senses and stuff like that in the comics when Matt's around him. But I want to see more Muse. I want to see them build this character. Is he an Inhuman? Does he have those, cancellation powers of Matt's, enhanced senses, right? I don't know anything about Muse. The only thing I know about Muse so far is the little glimpses of him we've gotten in episode 1 and 2. And that's it. There's been no development on Muse in the first 3 episodes. And I understand why. Episode 1 was coming back to this familiar feeling, having a big action sequence and a tragic event to start the journey of the show. Meeting the new characters, etc. Episode 2, Fisk becoming a mayor, really honing in on him being a mayor and what he needs to do, with a little bit of those lingering Kingpin elements being there. And Matthew Murdock, of course, taking on the case of Hector Ayala. And then episode 3 is the whole case of Hector Ayala and Fisk divulging more into the dirty crime way of dealing with problems, if you will, as mayor. Episode 4, if it were my guess, is more of a Matt Murdock coming more into becoming Daredevil again than anything else. At least that's what it should be. But there needs to be a point where Muse does something that pushes Matt further. Because I think the Hector death, Hector Ayala's death, Foggy's death, not doing anything about that, and then if Muse starts going on a killing spree, will really push Matt back into action. But like I said, we have yet to see Daredevil again since episode 1 in that first 15 minutes. All suited up. And it seems to me that some of those elements of the original Born Again script is staying. Because in the original script, Daredevil wasn't going to suit up till episode 5. Now, Daredevil suited up in episode 1 after they decided to do the reworks, but he hasn't been suited up again. So if Daredevil doesn't suit up in his full costume, right, till episode 5, then it's very clear that those mega rehaul reshoots that they were doing to fix the series, it was only done in specific portions of the show, rather than the whole show. That's how I look at it. And, like I said, Daredevil needs to have a good balance of Matt Murdock being a lawyer, the drama, the human side, but then his vigilante side. I think season 1 did the best part at striking the balance between Daredevil and Matt Murdock. Season 2 was much more Daredevil focused than Matt Murdock. Season 3 was also more Daredevil focused than Matt Murdock. But I think season 1 nailed it perfectly back when they did it. Between the two story arcs and storylines of him and his alter ego. But that's where I think episode 4 is going to head. It's going to be Matt spearheading his way towards becoming Daredevil, but not suiting up probably till episode 5. That's my guess. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed. Of course, Tuesday, Daredevil comes out. I will probably have my review for Daredevil Born Again episode 4 up either on Wednesday or Thursday. Thursday, I will have more time. But I might do it Wednesday. We will see how I'm feeling. I normally like to watch the episode about 3 times through before giving a review. So just keep that in mind. But thank you very much for listening. And I'll catch you all in the next one. God bless.